Okay, my friends. Um, I guess this is going to be kind of a part 1, 2, and 3. You heard me mention clarity. Well, you're seeing the variableness of my state here. If I had a clarity that went along with a completeness, or I was anchored in that, this all would have been coherent. It would have been long, but it's going to be long anyway. Okay. Um, the bite out of the apple. I was talking about projection and how we project our state onto what we're seeing. Uh, you have a certain reaction to something that you witness, and you're used to thinking that it's in the thing that you're witnessing, and even pointing a finger at that, and that's responsible, or whatever, or that's terrible, or, We've got to begin to hold the mirror up and realize that what we're seeing is a mirror. It might not look like that, but that's okay. That's what it really is. Remember, you're spirit, you're not matter. Matter is an energy that we've set out to work with. It's not who and what we are. Of course, my message here is that the whole thing of it is who and what we are. So you see the two sides of the coin that seem to be perfectly self-contradictory, but they're not. And that's one of the ways you can find yourself occupying a higher rung of the spiral, if you will, the light spiral that we're rising upon. When you find that you can hold within yourself the opposites and realize that they're both true and that that's not a problem. And the mind can't grok it, cannot grasp it. And that's probably actually a good thing. I know it's not a bad thing. And that's what this whole video is about, this whole concept of good and bad. And ultimately, right and wrong. This is the bite of the apple that we took. Things really aren't good and bad or right and wrong. Everything just is. Have you heard that before? Everything just is. You hear the Buddhists say that. That's a good path to come to the isness of things. I mean, come on. What did Gautama say? Undifferentiated suchness? Now that's pretty awesome for saying it just is. And it just is doesn't work because you've got the it. It's really just isness. But anyway, okay. Oh, and I'm going to take a pause here and interrupt myself and say right out my front window. I will get that handheld camera out there so you can see these things. Right out my window this morning. You'd think that I lived in the tropics. I had such a riot of color. I had the brilliant red cardinals, and I have some goldfinches, excuse me, finally showing up. And they're brilliant. I mean, they're canary yellow with the black and then a little bit of white on their wings. And I also have some indigo buntings. It's a little bird that's a very special shade of blue, and it's rather bright. And so the blue, the yellow, and the red, it was amazing, really wonderful. Okay, back to what I'm wanting to share with you. And remember, I don't put myself over and above you in any way, shape, or form. What I'm sharing with you, come on, it's what I'm working through. Hello, you know. And it's like I was saying, as a for instance, Empty O Grace on YouTube is Daniel. And he's my teacher in things. And I'm his teacher in heart things. And so as we find our bliss and our joy, as we follow the path that just feels so right to us, and we lock in, which we're syncing up with higher self here. As we do that, we find that we are the teacher for others, and we are their student as well. And it is so awesomely beautiful, it'll take your breath away. It's really neat. But anybody who truly locks on to his path and follows that is a teacher. Even if you never teach a word, just your being. Anyhow, back to where I meant to be, which is on the right and wrong, good and bad judgment thing. People who are totally in mind, especially in the left brain, are like a porcupine, with the fingers pointed everywhere outside of themselves. For everything is responsible, but yourself. And thinking that when they watch something and they see it and they have a reaction or a response or an understanding that is correct. And it follows then that other people that saw it differently are incorrect, and you get that whole thing. And it's playing around with the concept of the right and the wrongness. And it's a really heavy-duty 3D kind of a thing. It's a left brain kind of a thing. And it may well be that until we rise up, at least to some extent, in frequency, vibration, consciousness, awareness, how do we want to say this? Until we get above it, maybe this is a higher dimension. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean, these are just ways to talk about something that is. As we rise above it, we get to where we can contain the opposites with no problem. And then we realize neither one of them is right or wrong. They're a balance. They're two sides of a coin. While we're in 3D, it's like they sliced the coin somehow and made out as if one side is right and one side is wrong. The left-handed path. As long as you're going where your heart leads you, you're fine. Even if it leads you to go buy a satanic Bible for some reason and look into that, you've got to trust your heart wherever it leads you. And that means your heart. And people that take this teaching wrong wind up murdering and doing insane things because they've understood it in the mind. And if there was an evil, maybe that's it. But you see, that's all property of 3D. And you're rising above it. You may well be above it even now and not be aware of it, because things still tend to kind of look the same. The changing that's going on is going on inside of us. And so how things change on the outside, let's pay somewhat less attention to that. If we can keep our focus locked within and in heart and be self-observant at all times, that's a major key, my friends. I don't see how you can lose with that. I don't see how you cannot. Well, what's winning and losing? I don't know, It gets a little hard to speak sometimes. But if you're in heart, you're following, you're with me. Or you can be if you choose to be. So the whole right and wrongness thing is the fall. We fell into that. We fell into 3D. And I don't know how to give this to you. I don't have to give it to you. It's something that you've got there within. See, if anything that's said here resonates with truth, the truth isn't here, it's within you. And that resonance is precious. Follow it. That's the string trail to higher self. See you soon.